Episode 15, Part 6, opens with Min Qian pretending to be seriously ill so he can step away from his responsibilities. He refuses to leave his house and avoids all official duties, instead sending his wife to use Shulang to request a recommendation for the vacant president position at Jagan Pharmaceutical. Although Shulang feels sympathy for his teacher's wife, he firmly refuses the request. Because of his decision, the president's position remains unfilled. On the 15th day of the lunar month, while everyone else returns home for the festival, Shulang stays behind. After quickly finishing his work, he changes his clothes and leaves the research and development base. He had promised Tian Tian that they would go out together, so he keeps his word despite the busy season. The streets are overflowing with people because of the festival. The markets are decorated in bright red, and the atmosphere is lively, yet chaotic. While waiting at the bus stop, a strangely dressed young man approaches Shulang and repeatedly asks whether the fireworks were beautiful. The boy is lightly dressed despite the cold, wearing ripped jeans and expensive limited edition shoes. Shulang answers briefly and ignores him, but the boy continues, eventually mocking Shulang by saying he does not deserve the fireworks or even the person beside him. Shulang has no interest in arguing with the child. When the bus arrives, he boards it and calmly tells the boy to grow up before speaking about such things. At Central Square, the crowd becomes dangerously dense due to heavy decorations and an ongoing exhibition. There's barely any space to move. Worried for Tian Tian's safety, Shulang lifts the child into his arms and moves into a narrow side alley to escape the pressure of the crowd. However, the situation quickly worsens. The road ahead becomes blocked, people at the front cannot move, and those behind continue pushing forward without knowing what is happening. People begin to lose their balance and fall, triggering a horrifying chain reaction. Screams fill the air as people are crushed beneath countless feet. Shulang reacts immediately. He climbs to a higher position to assess the situation and realizes that the crowd control has completely failed. Understanding the danger, he opens the door of a nearby shop and hands Tian Tian over, instructing the adults inside to protect the child because an accident has occurred and he must go help. He then stops several university students nearby and urgently asks for their assistance. Without hesitation, they follow Shulang's instructions and begin helping redirect the crowd and guide people towards safer exits. When Shulang reaches the center of the disaster, he is horrified by what he sees. People are piled on top of one another in layers, some unconscious, some screaming. Rescue efforts intensify, but then tragedy strikes again. A wooden observation platform, about 3 meters high, collapses under the weight of people who had climbed onto it to escape the chaos. For a brief moment, everything feels silent to Shulang as he sees fear and regret frozen on people's faces. The scene reminds him of Fan Xiao's past trauma, a moment that once left Fan Xiao deeply shaken. The sound of screams pulls Shulang back to reality as medical teams finally arrive, bringing some order to the chaos. An elderly woman grabs Shulang's hand and begs him to save her grandson. Without hesitation, Shulang rushes toward the collapsed platform to help more victims. Suddenly, he hears a familiar voice calling out to him. It is Juibo Wei, who dramatically cries for help and accuses Shulang of taking revenge by not saving him first, just like before. Ignoring the accusations, Shulang continues rescuing others. He pulls out a severely injured person whose body is covered in blood, and in the process, Shulang himself becomes stained with blood. Completely exhausted, Shulang suddenly hears his name again. Before he can react, someone tightly embraces him. It is Fan Xiao. His voice is shaking, his eyes filled with tears as he desperately asks if Shulang is hurt. Fan Xiao wants to take him to the hospital immediately, terrified of losing him. Seeing Fan Xiao's raw fear and concern causes Shulang's emotions to overflow. Gently, he holds Fan Xiao's face, wipes away his tears, and assures him again and again that he is fine and that the blood is not his. Only after hearing this repeatedly does Fan Xiao begin to calm. At that moment, Juibo Wei reappears, still trapped under debris, loudly complaining even in the middle of disaster. Shulang helps free him first. Miraculously, Juibo Wei escapes without any injuries, while another unconscious man and the elderly woman's grandson remain trapped underneath. After making dark jokes and sarcastic comments, Juibo Wei leaves. Shulang insists on going back inside the wreckage to assess the situation. Fan Xiao refuses to let him go alone and follows him inside. Under the wreckage, the space is extremely narrow. Shulang and Fan Xiao are forced into close physical contact, their bodies pressed tightly together. The heat, fear, and lingering emotions make the moment intense and overwhelming. Fan Xiao works desperately to clear the wooden planks to reach the trapped child, but his hands are slippery with sweat. A sharp piece of wood cuts his hand, causing it to bleed, yet he continues without hesitation. After intense effort, they finally reach the child and pull him out alive. Outside, Fan Xiao checks the child's breathing and without wasting a second, carries him toward the ambulance. As he runs, he turns back to look at Shulang one last time. Shulang, already outside, takes a cigarette from his pocket and waves at Fan Xiao with a faint, reassuring smile. Fan Xiao enters the ambulance with the child, and the doors close as the vehicle drives away. Only then does Shulang's strength completely give out. He stumbles to a corner and sits down, drained both physically and emotionally. Juibo Wei briefly appears again, making bitter jokes about the man who protected him under the debris. As he walks away, the weight of the night settles over Shulang. The episode ends with exhaustion, unspoken emotions, and the undeniable truth that Shulang and Fan Xiao can no longer escape their bond, setting the stage for even deeper conflict and reconciliation in the episodes to come.